Hey everybody, Jeremy Siskind here. I'm the author of the Jazz Piano Fundamentals series, Solo Standards for Piano and Playing Solo Jazz Piano. And last Wednesday, I posted a video about playing double time lines. And I did a demonstration of, two different kinds of double time lines. One is more traditional bebop, hard bop, standard jazz. Sounded something like... And I said, okay, that's the type we're going to be talking about. I also gave another demonstration, said we're not really talking about if I'm trying to be McCoy Tyner and I'm trying to play... Right. And so it got me thinking, well, what about that McCoy Tyner, more modal kind of style double time? If you didn't watch the other video, or if you're interested in that hard bop bebop double time line, I'll make sure I give you a YouTube world, they call it a card, where you can link to that video. But today I thought we'd talk about some strategies if you do want to stay pretty much within one scale. How could you make an interesting, any kind of line, but particularly a double time line? So just the quickest review on the other strategy that I gave was that you're going to kind of focus on chord tone. So we're thinking about F7, I was just playing F blues. Maybe you'll focus on 4 different chord tones, and then you're going to use some arpeggios, some chromatic notes, some scales to connect between these. So you get this kind of tension release, a lot of crunchiness, maybe a lot of feeling of leading, and a lot of color. If you are going to stay completely within that F mixolydian scale, then we're really, really going to be focusing on shape. And so whereas this first line, this first suggestion that I gave, if I'm making a double time line there, I'm going to be staying within a relatively narrow band, by which I mean maybe an octave and a half, right? Like if you want to watch my hand. I kind of want it to be within a singable-ish range. Probably with my more McCoy Tyner solo, I'm going to be covering more ground on the piano because mainly the tool that I have to deal with is shape. So... you can see that there's a lot more movement up and down because the gesture really becomes the important thing. Now, how am I creating those shapes and gestures? Sorry, I like a million thoughts came to me at once. But the shortest answer is using triads from the mode. We could call these upper structures if we want. Call them triads from the mode like I did. More than anything else, I think it's really valuable to separate out into 3 note groups. We can talk about some other kinds of groupings that form major and minor triads. So F major, E flat major. These are often, these 2 major triads right next to each other are often referred to as the special triad pair. C minor, G minor, D minor. And then I'm constructing lines where I'm moving I'm maybe alternating. For the sake of argument, let's focus on that F major and E flat major. So maybe I'll go down the F major, and then I'll go up the E flat major. And this will be more of an F sus kind of a sound than an F dominant. And let's do a little stutter. And then I'll do F major again. I'm not that sophisticated, guys. And then we'll put in just the minimal little bit of E flat here. So F, F, E flat, and then this guy's just a little stutter. Maybe it's related to B flat major or G minor if you want to think of it that way. So now we're staying within that F sus, F mixolydian sound, but because the shapes are interesting and there's still a little bit of tension and release because it's like the F is home and the E flat is the tension. A variation of this would be to use the pentatonic scale for F and E flat. We're still going to hear the F major and E flat major sound, but now we've got a few more notes to work with. And yes, these notes do still all come from the F mixolydian mode. And that's going to be true of these two pentatonic scales that form your triad pairs of major triads right next to each other. Okay, so here's some F pentatonic. And then let's go for some E flat pentatonic. Maybe something like this. Okay. Is it the most interesting? At this point, maybe not. It's maybe a little bit formulaic because we have exactly 2 beats of each. But if we keep going, we can get some interesting things. Now, even in this style, we can leave the mode in multiple ways. So let's say, as I honestly do, I'm like, oh, this is a little bit boring. It's pretty vanilla. Maybe we can target the B flat here. And I could put in a chromatic enclosure. It's still going to have that really pentatonic-y, mixolydian-y sound because of the pentatonic scales, but we'll get a little bit of grit now. A little bit different sounding. The other, so we can put in chromatic notes in a very similar way to the way that we can on our bebop double time. The other big thing that we do is, let's say we're moving from F7 to B flat 7 as we do in the bridge, is it's really nice to put in maybe a B7 leading to the B flat 7. Side step. Very, very traditional jazz harmony. So let's just see how that might look and sound. So there's a mixture of E flat and F. Right, the first 4 notes are an E flat triad, the second 4 notes are an F triad. let's do. So these are all notes from B Mixolydian. So especially leading into a change of chord, we can utilize things like side steps. Here the B7 also functions as a tritone sub of the F7. But we can also do that like within a single chord. So if I'm improvising, and let's say the chord's never going to change. This is we're playing Passion Dance, and we're just on an F7 and F sus for a long time. Hear what I did there? I just went a half step up, and I played pentatonic scales associated with the key a half step up with F sharp sus. And you could do that at different intervals, right? You could do it every two measures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3. Or you can do it every measure. You know, back and forth between the two very quickly. All right. If this is interesting to you, this is very, very much what is talked about in Jazz Piano Fundamentals Book 3, which is modal and modern. You will find a lot about this, going into more detail, tetrachords, triads +1, pentatonic scales, how to do different substitutions, different ornamentation. So check that out, Jazz Piano Fundamentals Book 3. So to summarize what we learned here, we learned separate out a scale into triads. Find the two major triads that are a step apart. In any major or minor scale, there will be two major triads that are a step apart. Those are great ones to start with. Try using the pentatonic scales. Alternate. Put in some little stutters so that that it's not just alternation. Feel free to use some chromaticism as well. And then you can use side steps in order to create motion and go outside of the chords. Thank you for watching, everybody. Let's see, what's a good special word? If you watched this far, let's say something about the mix, because we're talking about the Mixolydian mode. Use the word mix. Thanks, everyone.